My hands were shaking as I read the note on the kitchen counter, the paper trembling between my fingers like a death certificate for my marriage. Took the kids to Preston's early to help set up. We'll try to make it back for your ceremony. Congratulations, Trevor. Try to make it back. For 5 years, I'd sacrificed everything. 5 years of midnight study sessions while my family slept peacefully. 5 years of missing bedtimes, soccer games, and family dinners. 5 years of being told I needed more credentials while watching less qualified men at Franklin Financial Services climb past me on the corporate ladder. And on the one day, I needed them to show up, my husband scrawled a casual note like he was running late to pick up groceries. The clock on our Austin kitchen wall read 9:30 a.m. My graduation ceremony started at 2 p.m. My hair appointment was in 30 minutes. I crumpled the note and threw it in the trash, my MBA diploma holder sitting mockingly on the counter beside my untouched coffee. The house felt suffocatingly empty, echoing with the absence of the people who should have been here, celebrating, taking photos, making this moment mean something. Instead, they were at my brother Preston's house, preparing for his luxury barbecue showcase, the one he'd deliberately scheduled on my graduation day after I'd given him the date 6 months ago. "It's just a graduation," Preston had said dismissively when I'd called to confront him. "You already had one for your bachelor's degree. This is just a piece of paper saying you took some extra classes." Just a piece of paper. 5 years condensed into one contemptuous sentence. If you've ever felt invisible in your own family, if you've ever been the responsible one who gets taken for granted while everyone else gets celebrated, drop a like right now. Subscribe to Formidable Revenge channel, and I love you because what happens next will show you exactly what happens when the quiet one finally stops being quiet. Comment below and tell me where you're watching from. I want to know I'm not alone in this. The irony was that I'd done all of this for them. At 35 years old, I'd enrolled in Texas State University's evening MBA program because my boss at Franklin Financial Services kept dangling the senior analyst position just out of reach. "You need more credentials, Charlotte. Everyone has a bachelor's degree these days." So, I'd gotten more credentials. While working 50-plus hours a week. While raising Cameron, my 14-year-old son, and Lily, my 11-year-old daughter. While trying to maintain some semblance of a marriage with Trevor, who'd grown increasingly resentful of my absence, even as he benefited from my income. "How much longer is this going to take?" he'd ask, week after week, year after year. "The kids barely see you anymore." The kids. Let me tell you about my kids. Cameron had started calling me the student instead of mom sometime around year 3. "The student can't come to my game," he'd tell his friends. "She's got homework." His voice dripped with the same dismissive tone his father used. Lily had stopped asking me to help with school projects after I'd missed her science fair 2 years running. "It's okay. Daddy helps me with everything now," she'd said. And the words had cut deeper than any knife. But I'd told myself it was temporary. Temporary sacrifice for permanent improvement. Once I had my MBA, once I got that promotion, once we had the extra income and stability, everything would balance out. We'd take that Disney World vacation the kids wanted. We'd renovate the house. We'd be better. I'd been lying to myself. The bathroom mirror showed me exactly what 5 years of grinding had cost. Dark circles no concealer could hide, premature gray streaks in my auburn hair, stress lines etched around my mouth from clenching my jaw through endless late nights. My brother Preston, meanwhile, had sailed through life without a single sacrifice. 3 years older at 38, he ran a successful real estate empire, lived in a waterfront mansion in the hills, and spent his weekends on his yacht, or at exclusive wine tastings. He'd never married, had no children, and enjoyed reminding everyone how free he was. Our parents worshipped him. "Your brother just knows how to live," my mother had told me once, as if my life of responsibility and duty was somehow a character flaw rather than a choice. The hairstylist noticed my red eyes but professionally avoided commenting as she worked silently on my auburn waves. The makeup artist did her best to conceal the puffiness, applying layer after layer of corrector, until I looked almost human again. Back home, I dressed in the navy blue sheath dress I'd bought specifically for this day. $200 I'd felt guilty spending even though Preston dropped that much on a single bottle of wine. I adjusted my cap over my styled hair, straightened my graduation gown, and took a photo in the full-length mirror. My smile looked painted on. Fake. But I posted it to social media anyway, tagging Trevor, the kids, my parents, Preston. Let them see what they were missing. The responses came immediately. Coworkers, distant cousins, old college friends, everyone congratulating me except the people whose opinions actually mattered. I texted Trevor. Heading to the ceremony now. Are you still planning to come? The three dots appeared. Disappeared. Appeared again. Then, Cameron took a bad fall by the pool. Nothing serious, but lots of tears. Might be late. Save us seats if you can. My hand tightened around the phone until my knuckles turned white. Save seats. In a general admission auditorium where seating wasn't assigned. Trevor knew that. I'd left the information packet on the kitchen counter for weeks. Highlighted and marked. This wasn't confusion. This was a choice. I drove to campus in a fog, past happy families posing for photos, past graduates laughing with their loved ones, past everything I'd thought I'd have today. The graduation processional was a blur of black gowns and mortarboards. I took my place in the alphabetical lineup, surrounded by celebrating students embracing parents, accepting flowers, taking selfies with beaming siblings. I stood alone. Charlotte Marie Hawthorne, Master of Business Administration, summa cum laude. I walked across that stage with my head high, shook the dean's hand, accepted my diploma case, moved my tassel from right to left. The applause was polite, anonymous. The same sound they'd made for the 200 graduates before me. No distinctive cheers, no whistles, no one calling my name. Just strangers witnessing another stranger's milestone. After the ceremony, I stood at the edge of the celebration lawn, watching families reunite. Champagne bottles popped, flowers exchanged hands, grandparents wept with pride. And I stood there like a ghost at my own funeral, holding my diploma case and wondering how I'd become so completely invisible to the people I'd sacrificed everything for. My phone buzzed. Finally. But it wasn't congratulations. It wasn't an apology. It was a notification that Preston had posted new photos to social media. I shouldn't have looked. I knew I shouldn't have looked, but I opened the app anyway, and there they were. Trevor, Cameron, and Lily gathered around Preston's massive stone fire pit, roasting marshmallows and laughing. My parents stood behind them, drinks in hand, looking relaxed and happy. The timestamp showed the photo had been posted 20 minutes ago, right when I'd been walking across the stage. They hadn't even pretended to care. The caption read, "Nothing beats family time. Chuck blessed life. Summer vibes." Something fractured inside my chest. Not a clean break, more like a slow splintering, a structural failure that had been building for 5 years and finally gave way. I found a quiet spot behind the science building and let myself cry. Ugly, heaving sobs that ruined my makeup and left me gasping for air. 5 years of holding it together, 5 years of being strong, and I'd finally broken. My phone rang. Trevor. I almost didn't answer. What was the point? But something made me pick up. Maybe hope, maybe stupidity, maybe just the desperate need to hear someone acknowledge what today meant. Charlotte. Thank God. His voice was high-pitched with panic. I've been trying to reach you for over an hour. I looked at my call log and froze. 47 missed calls, all from Trevor, all in the past 60 minutes. My heart stopped. What happened? Is everyone okay? It's Cameron, Trevor said, words tumbling out. He fell off Preston's new water slide. We're at St. David's Medical Center. They think his arm is broken. I broke every speed limit getting to St. David's Medical Center, my graduation gown still crumpled in the passenger seat, my diploma case bouncing on the dashboard with every turn. My maternal instinct had overridden everything else: the hurt, the anger, the betrayal. My son was injured. Nothing else mattered. The emergency room was chaos. I gave Cameron's name at the desk and was directed to Bay 7. When I pulled back the curtain, I stopped dead. Cameron lay on the hospital bed, his right arm in a temporary splint, his face tear-stained but calm. Around him stood not just Trevor and Lily, but my parents, Preston, and a doctor reviewing x-rays. They all turned to look at me, and on their faces I saw something that made my blood run cold. Not relief, not gratitude that I'd arrived. Guilt and pity. "Mom!" Cameron called out, his voice small. "You came?" "Of course I came. Of course I came." What kind of question was that? I moved to his bedside on autopilot, smoothing his hair back, asking about pain levels, listening as Dr. Ramirez explained the simple radial fracture and 6-week recovery timeline. "Are you feeling that rage building? That sense of absolute betrayal when you realize the people who should love you most will show up for a pool party injury, but not for your life's biggest achievement? Drop a comment telling me what you would do in Charlotte's position." "He was very brave," my mother interjected, patting Cameron's leg. "Barely cried at all." The casual familiarity in her voice, the warmth she'd never shown my accomplishments, ignited something dark and furious in my chest. Preston stepped forward, looking uncomfortable. "Thank God you got here, sis. Cameron's been asking for you non-stop." The ease in his tone, the audacity to act like this was just a normal family gathering, and not the culmination of years of disrespect and dismissal. "Thank God I got here," I repeated slowly, my voice dangerously quiet. As opposed to where I was before? Graduating alone while my entire family enjoyed a barbecue? The temperature in that small hospital bay dropped 20 degrees. Trevor shot me a warning look, silently begging me not to do this here, not now. But 5 years of swallowed words came boiling up my throat. "I just spent the most important day of my professional life completely alone," I continued, my voice shaking but clear. "No husband, no children, no parents, not even a text message, because a pool party was more important than 5 years of sacrifice." "Charlotte," my father began, his tone condescending, "this is hardly the time or place." "When would be a better time, Dad?" I cut him off. "When I'm back to being invisible? When I'm back to being the responsible one who never gets celebrated while Preston throws another party and you all drop everything to attend?" My mother looked genuinely confused. "Honey, we didn't realize it meant this much to you. It's just a ceremony." Just a ceremony. Just like it was just a degree. Just an accomplishment. Just my life. "And if there hadn't been an emergency?" I challenged, looking around at each of them. "Would any of you have felt even slightly guilty about missing it? Would you have thought about me at all today?" The silence was deafening. Trevor stepped forward, placing a hand on my arm. "Charlotte, you're upset, and you have every right to be. But Cameron needs calm right now. We can discuss this later." I looked at my son, who was watching the adult drama unfold with wide, frightened eyes. Lily stood beside him, chewing her lip nervously. They didn't deserve to be caught in this crossfire. "You're right," I said quietly, taking a deep breath. "Cameron needs us to focus on him right now." I spent the next hour being the mother they needed, comforting, reassuring, practical. I accompanied Cameron for the casting process, held his good hand, made jokes to distract him from the discomfort. "I'm sorry I missed your graduation, Mom," he said softly as we walked down the hospital corridor. "I really wanted to go to the party, and Dad said it would be okay." Those words, "Dad said it would be okay," revealed everything I needed to know. Trevor had made the choice. He'd given permission. He'd told our children that a pool party mattered more than supporting their mother. "It's not your fault, sweetie," I told Cameron. Adults made those decisions, not you. When we returned to the emergency bay, my parents and Preston had mysteriously vanished to the cafeteria. Only Trevor remained, holding discharge papers. "The doctor says we can take him home," Trevor said. "He has a prescription for pain medication." I nodded mechanically. "I'll take him home. You can pick up the prescription." "Charlotte, about today." "Not now." I cut him off. "Not in front of Cameron." That night, after settling Cameron on the couch with pillows and painkillers, after putting Lily to bed with extra hugs, after my parents and Preston had awkwardly departed back to Preston's mansion, I finally confronted Trevor. "I want to talk," I said, finding him in the kitchen unpacking the pharmacy bag. "I know you're angry," he began. "Angry doesn't begin to cover it." I kept my voice low, controlled. "I feel betrayed. By all of them, but especially by you." Trevor had the decency to look ashamed. "I made a mistake. I thought the kids would have more fun at the barbecue, and I didn't realize how important." "How could you not realize?" My control started slipping. "I've been talking about this graduation for months. I specifically asked you to promise you'd be there. I begged you, Trevor." "I know, and I'm sorry." "Do you know what it felt like?" I interrupted, my voice rising despite my efforts to stay calm. "Watching hundreds of graduates celebrate with their families while I sat completely alone? Seeing my name called with no one to cheer for me? And then," my voice cracked, "and then finding out you were all having the time of your lives at Preston's party, posting happy photos while I was walking across that stage." "One mistake doesn't erase 12 years of marriage," Trevor said defensively. "Or 5 years of me supporting you through—" "Supporting me?" I laughed bitterly. "You complained constantly about my absence. You made me feel guilty every single day for pursuing this degree. You took the kids to events without me and let them think I didn't care about them. And then, on the one day I needed you to show up, you chose my brother's party instead." The fight escalated from there, voices rising despite our attempts to keep quiet for the kids. Trevor accused me of being dramatic, of overreacting, of not appreciating his sacrifices. I accused him of never truly valuing my career, my ambitions, my worth beyond what I could do for him. Finally, exhausted, I said the words I'd been holding back. "I'm staying at the Westin downtown for a week, the room I booked for my parents." "What?" "Charlotte, be reasonable. Cameron has a broken arm." "Cameron has a father who apparently makes all the important decisions anyway," I replied coldly. "He'll be fine. I'll check on him daily, but I need space to think about what this marriage means and whether I can trust you anymore." "Are you saying you want a divorce?" Panic crept into his voice. "I'm saying I need to figure out if I can stay married to someone who doesn't respect me." I packed that night while Trevor slept on the couch, his earlier confidence completely deflated. I took my diploma case, my laptop, and enough clothes for a week. The hotel room was quiet, impersonal, and exactly what I needed. For 3 days I stayed at the Westin thinking, planning, and discovering something revolutionary. I liked being alone. I visited Cameron daily, bringing books and snacks, helping him adapt to one-armed life. I had lunch with Lily, reassuring her that adult problems weren't her fault. But I always returned to my hotel room, where I could think clearly without the weight of everyone else's needs pressing down on me. On day 4, I received a text from Karen, my closest friend at Franklin Financial Services. "Call me ASAP, it's about your promotion." I called immediately. "What's wrong?" "Nothing's wrong," Karen said, excitement in her voice. "Everything's right. Thompson just announced your promotion to senior analyst in this morning's meeting. $40,000 raise, private office, direct report to the CFO. He said, and I quote, 'Charlotte Hawthorne exemplifies the dedication and excellence we value at this firm.'" I started crying right there in my hotel room. Not sad tears, tears of validation. My boss had publicly recognized what my own family couldn't. "There's more," Karen continued. Thompson asked me to tell you that if you're interested, there's a newly created vice president of analytics position opening up in 6 months. He said you'd be his first choice if you want it. Vice president. 6 months. Another promotion. Another validation that my sacrifices had been worth something. Charlotte? Karen's voice brought me back. You still there? I'm here, I said. And Karen? Thank you. For coming to my graduation, for this call, for being my friend. Always, she said warmly. Now get back here Monday and claim your office. That afternoon, I scheduled individual meetings with each person who'd betrayed me, starting with Preston. He arrived at the Westin lobby in his typical expensive casual wear, designer jeans, Italian loafers, a watch worth more than my car. He looked uncomfortable in the hotel's modest lobby, probably used to meeting at exclusive restaurants or his own mansion. Charlotte, he began, I'm really sorry. Let me stop you there, I interrupted calmly. I'm not interested in your apology. I'm interested in setting boundaries. He blinked, surprised. Boundaries? From now on, I won't be attending your parties, celebrations, or social events. I won't be available for family gatherings you organize. I won't be making any effort to maintain our sibling relationship beyond basic civility at required family functions. You're cutting me out of your life? He looked genuinely shocked. No, I corrected. I'm simply treating you the way you've treated me, as someone whose presence is optional and whose achievements are irrelevant. Preston's face flushed. One mistake. It wasn't one mistake, I said quietly. It was a lifetime of being second place to you, of watching Mom and Dad worship everything you did while dismissing everything I accomplished, of you scheduling a barbecue on my graduation day and then refusing to change it because your convenience mattered more than my milestone. I stood up, gathering my purse. I'm done competing for scraps of recognition from people who should have loved me unconditionally. Goodbye, Preston. My parents came next, arriving together as they always did, presenting a united front. Charlotte, sweetheart, my mother began, pulling out the sympathy voice she used when she wanted something. We've been so worried about you. Save it, I said flatly. I know you're not worried. You're uncomfortable because I'm not playing my role anymore. My father frowned. That's unfair. We love you. Do you? I challenged. Because love looks different from where I'm sitting. Love shows up. Love celebrates. Love doesn't choose one child's barbecue over another child's master's degree graduation. My mother dabbed at her eyes with a tissue, but I noticed the tears didn't actually fall. We didn't realize it meant so much to you. And that's the problem, I replied. You never ask. You never notice. You never see me unless I'm serving some purpose in Preston's story. I leaned forward, my voice deadly calm. Here's what's going to happen. I'll remain polite at necessary family functions, but I'm done chasing your approval. I'm done trying to earn the recognition you freely give Preston. I'm done being the responsible, overlooked daughter while you throw parties for the son who's never sacrificed anything. You're being very hurtful, my father said stiffly. Good, I replied. Because I've been hurt for 35 years, and I'm tired of pretending I'm not. They left 20 minutes later, confused and upset, probably thinking I'd calm down eventually. They didn't understand that this wasn't anger. It was clarity. Trevor came last, arriving at the hotel on day 7 with flowers and a desperate expression. Can we talk? He asked. We sat in my room, the California king bed between us like a moat. I've been doing a lot of thinking, Trevor began. About us. About how I've taken you for granted. About how I failed you when you needed me most. Good, I said. Because I've been thinking too. I want to fix this, he said quickly. I love you, Charlotte. I don't want to lose you. Do you love me? I asked quietly. Or do you love the idea of me? The woman who works full-time, raises the kids, handles all the mental load, and never complains? Because I'm not that woman anymore. What do you mean? I pulled out my phone and showed him the email from Franklin Financial Services, officially notifying me of my promotion and raise. 40,000 more a year, I said. Which means we can afford a lot of things, including a cleaning service twice a week, a meal delivery subscription, and therapy. Couples therapy for us, individual therapy for me. Therapy. Trevor looked uncertain. Non-negotiable, I replied firmly. If we're going to save this marriage, we need professional help. I need you to understand why your choice hurt me so deeply, and you need to understand why you made it in the first place. Trevor nodded slowly. Okay. Yes. Whatever it takes. There's more, I continued. The kids will start doing actual chores, laundry, dishes, yard work. They're old enough to contribute to the household instead of being served constantly. And you're going to step up as an equal parent, not a helper. That means knowing their schedules, doctor appointments, teacher names, everything. I can do that, Trevor said. And finally, I took a deep breath. If you ever prioritize convenience over supporting me again, I'm done. No second chances, no long conversations, no therapy. I will file for divorce and take half of everything. The stark ultimatum hung in the air. Trevor's face had gone pale. I understand, he whispered. I'm sorry, Charlotte. I'm so incredibly sorry. 6 weeks later, Cameron's cast came off, and life had settled into a new normal. The house stayed clean because we'd hired Sparkle Home Services twice weekly. Dinner came from a meal kit subscription that actually taught the kids to cook. Trevor had started attending a parenting workshop and genuinely engaged with the kids' lives instead of just being physically present. Couples therapy was brutal and necessary. Dr. Reeves didn't let either of us hide behind excuses or deflect blame. Trevor had to confront his resentment of my ambition and his fear that I was outgrowing him. I had to acknowledge my tendency to martyr myself instead of demanding help. We were slowly, painfully, learning to be partners instead of roommates who sometimes had sex. My relationship with Preston remained distant but civil. He'd actually listened during our confrontation, not immediately, but over time. He started checking family calendars before scheduling events and occasionally asked about my work. We'd never be close, but we'd achieved a mutual respect born from honest boundaries. My parents struggled the most with the new dynamic. They'd spent decades treating me like the supporting character in Preston's story, and my refusal to play that role anymore confused them. But they were trying, in their limited way. My mother now called before assuming I'd be available for family events. My father had even asked about my promotion, though the conversation was awkward. If this story resonated with you, if you've ever had to rebuild yourself after betrayal, share this video with someone who needs to hear that it's okay to demand respect, even from family. Drop a comment telling me what boundary you need to set in your own life. 3 months after my graduation, Preston called with an unusual request. I want to throw you a celebration party, he said, for your MBA. Just close friends and family, at my place. You can invite whoever you want. I almost said no out of habit. But something in his voice, genuine humility, made me pause. Why? I asked bluntly. Because you deserved one, Preston replied. And because I'm ashamed, it took me this long to realize it. The party happened 2 weeks later. Preston kept his word. Nothing flashy, just 20 people who actually cared about me. Karen and my co-workers from Franklin Financial Services, Dr. Ramirez, my favorite professor, Trevor, who'd been working hard in therapy, Cameron and Lily, who'd written me a card apologizing for missing the graduation and promising to be better family members. My parents came, bringing a professionally framed photograph of me in my cap and gown that Preston had commissioned from the university photographer. It must have cost a small fortune. We're proud of you, Charlotte, my father said gruffly, the first time I'd heard those words from him in years. Preston gave a speech. A real one, not his usual charming performance. My sister is the smartest, most determined person I know, he said, looking directly at me. For 5 years she worked full-time, raised 2 kids, and earned her master's degree, all while I was busy planning parties and collecting vintage wines. I thought I was successful, but Charlotte showed me what success actually looks like. Sacrifice, perseverance, and refusing to give up even when the people who should have supported you let you down. He paused, emotion cracking his usual smooth delivery. I let her down. We all did. And I'm grateful she gave us the chance to do better. It wasn't perfect. The wounds hadn't fully healed and probably never would. But it was something. Acknowledgement, effort, growth. Later that night, as Trevor and I drove home with the kids asleep in the back seat, he reached over and squeezed my hand. I'm proud of you, he said quietly. Not just for the degree, but for standing up for yourself, for demanding we all do better. I squeezed back, feeling the cool weight of my new business card in my purse. Charlotte Hawthorne, Senior Financial Analyst. And thinking about the vice president position waiting for me in a few months. The empty seats at my graduation had broken something fundamental inside me, but from those cracks, something stronger had grown. Self-respect, boundaries, and the absolute certainty that my worth wasn't determined by anyone's recognition but my own. I'd walked across that stage alone, but I'd walked with my head high, and that had made all the difference. Sometimes the most important graduation isn't from a university. It's graduating from the need for approval from people who've never truly seen you. It's graduating from guilt, from obligation, from the exhausting work of trying to earn love that should have been freely given. My family was learning to celebrate me now, but the truth was, I'd already learned to celebrate myself. And that was the achievement that mattered most. The real revenge wasn't punishing them. It was becoming someone who no longer needed their validation to know my own worth. Have you ever had to choose between family peace and self-respect? What did you choose? Tell me in the comments below. And remember, subscribe to Formidable Revenge channel for more stories about standing up, speaking out, and refusing to shrink yourself for people who should have made space for you all along. Your biggest cheerleader should always be you.